for a second. It's a very short text.
Never argue.
Page 97 is a 3-word text, but sometimes the 3-word texts are the best texts. What does text number 9 say? If I knew him, I would be him. It's a beautiful text. If I would know him, I would be him. Meaning, we have no way of knowing what God is. So is God real? To us, he's real because we live. He's real. Our reality is real, but that's not God. Our reality is not God. So is God real? We have no idea. We don't know what God is. We can't know what God is because our brains are fine that God is infinite. He created existence. He's beyond existence. So we have no idea. You could leave tonight's class thinking that, and in fact, is that a problem? Is it a problem? If we were to say, we don't know God, we don't need to know God, God is beyond us, we're finite human beings, God is infinite, and that's it. Have a nice night, it was a pleasure knowing you, I'll see you next week for next week's class. You can go home early, you have an hour early, right? I know at least one person can come asking for a refund because they didn't get the full money's worth, right?
It's a problem because we were intended to have a personal relationship with God.
Exactly. The problem with that conclusion is that Judaism empathetically rejects the idea that we can't understand God. First of all, we all know the Shema. That's too much before we're going to talk about later, right? The Shema is telling us to know God, hear God, love God. We're going to talk about that. Besides for the Shema, what other very famous verse tells us that we have to know God? It's maybe a little less obvious in the Shema, but pretty close. Very famous verse. Well, think, what are the famous verses? Ten Commandments. Very good, Norm. What's the first of the Ten Commandments? Anochi Hashem Elokecha. I am the Lord your God. 1 second. Let's just do this question. So, if God is real, here we go. The verse says, I am the Lord your God. You know what that means? I am the Lord your God. What is God saying to us? So the Sefer HaChinuch, which is a book that compiles every single one of the 613 commandments in the 13th century, and it explains exactly what is every single one of the 613 mitzvot, he defines this mitzvah as follows. Text number 10. Myron, you want to read text number 10?
To know and to believe that there is a God.
When it says, when God tells us, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God, what is God telling us to do? To know that there's a God. Meaning, this text, this first commandment of the Ten Commandments is very clearly emphasizing that believing in God is not enough. You have to know God. In Hebrew it's called, you know? What's it called to know God in Hebrew? Das. How many verses do we know that talk about knowing God? Now, we talk about, right? You should know this day and place it upon your heart. Ki Hashem Elokim. So we sing it in Elena, right? I have to go from earlier. It's a song we sing every day. Many verses. On Sinuchas Torah, we start off Ata Harei Saladas. That God, you showed us that we should know. Ki Hashem Hu Elokim No Mavado. We got to know the God. What does it mean to know something? What does Das mean? Intellectual knowledge. The brain should comprehend. God's telling us that I don't just want you to know in the sense that you accept and you believe that there's a higher power that you don't understand. When God tells us, I am the Lord your God, in the singular, you should know, I am your God, I want you to know me. So when they say I want to have a relationship with me, we're going to talk about soon. I want your human brain to be able to understand and to process and to comprehend that I am the Lord your God. So we can't just say that God is infinite. God is beyond existence, and that's all. Because that's not what the Torah tells us to do. Right? So, before we try and explain what God is, let me first answer another question. Why is it important to know what He is, and what's wrong with just believing in Him? And some people don't like to believe in God either. You know the joke of this guy, atheist, sworn atheist, Jewish guy, of course. So he has a kid, he takes him to a Jewish school. Looks at the best school he can find is a good Catholic school, run by the nuns. He wants his kid to get a good education, go to college. He sends his kid to Catholic school, and to his horror, one day he comes home and starts telling his father about Jesus and this and that, and about the Virgin and married. And the father grabs his kid by the shoulder and says, "Listen to me, little boy. There's only one God, and we don't believe in him." So, well, why do we need to know God versus just believing in him? Yes, that's the question.
Because we're meant to also imitate him. And as God heals the sick, visits the sick, or buries the dead, or, et cetera, we are meant to know him, understand, and
Mindy gave an excellent answer. It's not the answer I'm going to say tonight, but we said it's 100% true. It's an excellent answer, which is basically what you just said, is that God wants us to emulate his ways. There's a very famous, beautiful verse that God says, just like I am compassionate and merciful, so too you should learn from me to also be compassionate and merciful, etc. That's true. Very good. What's another reason why it's not enough to believe in God and you need to know God? Well, what's the difference? What difference does that make on you if you know something or you believe something?
You know it's absolute.
Okay, when you know something is absolute,
Because
and when you believe, yeah,
we have a relationship with him. That is a way that we can love.
and you can have a relationship with something you only believe in. When you believe in something, how much impact does that have on you? What?
Greater impact.
To me, the word believe is still doubt. You believe it, but you're not 100% sure. So knowing is 100% sure.
Okay. There's a famous analogy brought in the Talmud. The Talmud tells us about a thief. And what does the thief do? You're on the text number 11.
The thief at the entrance of his tunnel calls out to God.
Imagine this. Okay, imagine. A thief has dug a tunnel to go and steal. Right? He wasn't getting exercised like a beaver. He was going to steal someone's house. Right? Okay, the sheriff is here, yes? The thief was going to dig. He has a tunnel dug. He's about to crawl under the wall and across the house and go and steal. He's scared. He's worried he might get caught. So what does he do? He prays to God. So imagine this. Obviously, this guy believes in God, or else he wouldn't be praying to him. Right? Not only does he believe in God as a creator, he believes that God controls the universe. And he believes that God can intercede on his behalf and help him. Or else he wouldn't pray to him. So if you believe in God controlling the earth and that God knows what's happening, God listens to you. So there's a good chance you probably also know the 10 Commandments, which say, "Thou shalt not get caught." No, it also says, "Thou shalt not steal." It says, "Thou shalt not steal," right? That's what it says. He probably knows that. And he could just as easily pray to God for success in making an honest living. But instead of praying to God, who he believes can help him, for help in getting an honest living, instead what does he do? He prays to God not to get caught. You understand?
9 out of 10 commandments.
But the truth is, we make it sound like it's very funny, but it's not so funny. If you think about it, we all to a certain extent do that. Who has ever prayed to God for something that they would be honest to know that God wouldn't want them to do it? Right? Right? We throw God into, we use God's name sometimes in different scenarios that with a little honest self-reflection we would find that we're not so innocent of this thief described in the Talmud. We believe in God, and simultaneously, as we're declaring our belief in God, we're doing something we know God wouldn't want us to do. We're going to shul, and in shul, we're talking Lashon Hara or something. They're why are we going to shul? Some people go to shul. They say a joke about this guy who tells his business, his close friend of his, invites him out to golf. To go golfing on Saturday. He says, "I can't go golfing with you this Saturday." Why not? "I'm going to synagogue." He said, "You're going to synagogue? Yeah. I know you very well. You're not religious by any stretch of the imagination. When did you become religious, are going to synagogue to pray?" He says, "No. You think, you know what happened? I heard that there was a guy, Goldstein. Goldstein was an immigrant, came from the old country with not a penny to his name, but he's very, very religious, and he goes to synagogue every Shabbos to pray. And this guy became a multi-millionaire. He just did this deal and that deal, and the guy made millions. He goes to synagogue." She says, "Now you believe since Goldstein goes to shul to pray, you're going to go to shul to pray?" She says, "No. Goldstein goes to shul to pray. I'm going to shul to speak to Goldstein." But otherwise, we all are guilty a little bit. The point is that when you only believe in something, it's faith, it's abstract. I believe, okay, fine, I believe. Doesn't necessarily impact or change the way I'm going to behave. But when you know something, that affects your actions. That's real, that's concrete, that's, yeah, I know it, I'm going to do it. So when the Torah commands us to have a relationship with God, the Torah is going us to know God. Meaning, there's something else also. You can't command someone to believe. Imagine God said, I am the Lord your God, I command you to believe me. Can I command you to believe me? I command you to believe me that I've flown an airplane. Now, I have flown an airplane. I have. My car was going so fast. No, I'm just joking. No, I've flown a real airplane. Do you believe me? Maybe now I'm telling you. If I tell you that was in Minnesota, it was a 4-seater airplane, and we went around the cornfield, I did fly an airplane. And maybe you believe it now, maybe you don't. You don't know if I'm pulling your leg, you have no idea. Maybe you believe it. I'm commanding you to believe me. Did me commanding you to believe make a difference? Can that impact your belief? No, I can't force you to believe me. Now, can I command you to know me? Can I command you to know which kind of airplane if I told you I flew, I don't have no idea what it's called. The Cessna it's a 4-seater airplane. That's all I can tell you. If I command you to research the airplane, to know what kind of airplanes I flew, and I tell you where the airport was and which cornfield I went over, can I command you to know that? Yeah, you can go and know the information. So if God commands us to know Him, that can't be a command to believe in Him. It has to be a command to understand Him. I can't command you to believe. I can command you to learn, to contemplate, to meditate, to think, to understand, to have it in your brain. So when God says, know me, not only is faith abstract. Faith is not, you can't command faith. You can't force someone to believe. Either you believe or you don't believe. Either you accept or you don't. But to know, to understand, to learn, anyone can learn. By the way, the side note, although it's not a side note, the very word mitzvah means I'm commanding you to do something, right? If I don't believe in you, if I don't believe in God, can God command me to do something? If the mitzvah to know God, if the mitzvah of Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God, was to believe in God, could that make any sense? God, who I don't believe in, is commanding me to believe in Him. You have to believe in order to accept it. There's something called the mitzvah. So the mitzvah can't be to believe, because you had to already believe in order to accept the idea that God is giving you a commandment. Right? So the mitzvah can only be to go beyond your belief, that you already believe in God, and now to know Him, understand Him. Yeah.
So it's Chochmah, Bina,
Das.
Wisdom, knowledge.
Yeah, but that's not relevant. The point is not the different levels within intellectual understanding. The point is to know. Das means that I know it in a very real, personal way. Chochmah is the idea, the details. It's not relevant for tonight. The point is, das means that you know it. It's not just some esoteric belief that's above my comprehension, above my intellectual powers. Das comes from Chochmah and Bina, if you're familiar with the concept. There's Chochmah, there's ideas, there's Bina, there's the details, then there's the Das. It makes it, I know it. It's real to me. It affects my actions, affects the way I...
So if you understand something, if you start to understand, then you form a deeper knowledge, is that it?
Yes. The more you meditate, the more you come to understand it in a very personal way, which is what we call Das, where you know it. I love to share the story. I've said it many times in the Tanya classes. It's famous story. As a little kid, every little kid knows the story of the Rabbi who was traveling on a wagon, on a horse and a buggy, and the driver was really hungry. Forgot to bring his lunch with him. So as they're driving through this beautiful orchard, beautiful apple trees. So he tells the Rabbi, you know what, I'm really hungry. I'm going to go jump over the tree, steal an apple, and do me a favor. You be the watchman. If you see someone coming, you see someone watching, just tell me someone's looking. Okay? So he stops the horse, he puts ties the rein. The Rabbi says, no problem, I'll be the watchman, I'll look, I'll let you know if someone's looking. And then he climbs over the fence, he starts climbing the tree, he's about to get on the top of the tree and get an apple. And the rabbi has to scream, someone's watching, someone's watching. Okay, jumps off the tree, jumps over the fence, hits the wagon, hitting the horses, he's flying. And as he's flying down the road, he looks over his shoulder, and there's no one there, no one's chasing him. So he says to the rabbi, you lied to me, there's nobody watching. He said, of course, God is watching. The wagon driver didn't know, the famous Hashem is here, Hashem is here, Hashem is truly everywhere, right? Up, up, down, down. He knew that. He went to preschool. The wagon driver knew that. But he knew it in the belief. He didn't know it. Actually, I used the wrong word. He didn't know it. He believed it. As a kid, he was told God is everywhere. Up, up, down, down, right, left, and all around. So he believed that God is everywhere. But he didn't know it in the way that it was real to him that affected his actions. The rabbi knew God is watching. The rabbi felt it. The rabbi lived it. Because God wasn't just something he believed in. God was something he understood intellectually. Okay? Same idea. It's a little bit complicated, this text, number 12. Let's read it, and it's a beautiful text. You want to read text number 12?
Know today and bring unto your heart that God is the God. That is to say, know God with an in-depth knowledge, with logical proofs, in addition to the tradition received from one's forefathers. This is alluded to in the verse, Chronicles, know the God of your fathers, meaning to say, in addition to the faith established in your heart by your fathers, by the tradition handed down through the generations, you should also know by yourself by means of your own understanding. This is also the allusion in the verse, Exodus, this is my God and I shall beautify him, the God of my fathers, and I shall exalt him. That is to say...
Let me interrupt you for 1 second just to give clarity. The Hebrew verse is in the Az Yashir. Zekeli va'anveyu. This is my God and I'll make him beautiful. Avi, the God of my fathers, Vayremen, I'll exalt him, I'll make him great. Go on, that is to say.
That is to say, when he is my God, due to my knowledge and understanding, the ve'anvei, I shall beautify him, which can also be read as a combination of the words ani vahu, I and he, meaning I and he are bonded together, so to speak, because my knowledge of God is internalized in my heart. However, when I do not possess a knowledge of God that is the product of my understanding and have only the tradition that he is the God of my fathers, then I shall exalt him. God remains aloof and elevated from me, and I am distant from him in the inner recess of my heart.
You understand what the verse is saying? You have to know the God of your father. You have to relate to him. If he's your God, Zekeli, he's my God. It's a PowerPoint for this thing. If he's my God, I have a relationship with him. The Hebrew word vanvei means anivahu. Me and him are together, buddy. I know he's my God. If he's only the God of my fathers from when I was in preschool and he taught me the song, God is everywhere, up, up, down, down, right, left, all around, then he's exalted. He's the God of my fathers. It's something abstract, something that's not real to me in my life. Okay? And that is a beautiful story of the Rabbi Yitzchak, who was Naka from a Hasidic family when he was growing up, and when he got married, he decided to become a Chassid and go to the study by the Magid. And when he came back after studying the Kabbalistic secrets of Hasidus, his father-in-law, who was very, very unhappy that he had gone to study in Mizrich, said to him, tell me, what did you learn in Mizrich by the Magid, by the Hasidus, that you didn't learn here in the yeshivas here? So he answered that, why did I go? Because I learned that there's a God in the world. Now I know that there's a God in the world. So his father was incredible. He said, now you know there's a God in the world. Everyone knows that. He called, there was like a young maid, Jewish orphan girl that was in the house, said to this young girl, is there a God in the world? She's like, of course there's a God in the world. So you see? You need to go study him as rich. She knows a God in the world. This little girl knows that. She says, yeah. She says that there's a God in the world. I know that there's a God in the world. That's the rabbi says, I know. It's not something I say. Something that I now understand that I do. Okay? When you know it, then it affects your actions. So that's one reason why the Torah wants us to know God, not just to know what is God. Again, we haven't answered the question, what is God? We'll get back to that still. But you have to understand how important what we're about to learn is to understanding all of Judaism. What we're going to learn later tonight is critical to making Judaism not just some abstract belief system that I believe in, but doesn't impact my life. But what we're going to learn soon is actually the way that I'm meant to understand, to have a personal relationship through making God my God. Not just the God of my fathers, not just some abstract belief, but something that I know, I comprehend, I relate to, I understand. Okay? That's one reason. There's another reason why believing in God is not enough. The second reason why Judaism insists that we have to attain and work to have a knowledge of God. I'll answer like this. You're all familiar with the Shema. Stu mentioned the Shema before, right? So what does the Shema say? V'ahavta esad Hashem Elokecha. What does that mean? You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. So I told you before that I can't command you to believe in me. But you know what I really can't command you to do? To love me. Imagine I command you to love me. Some women try and do that, right? I command you, be in love with me. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. You can't command someone to feel an emotional love. I can command you to be afraid of me. It's very easy. I'll pull out a gun, you'll be afraid of me. Pull out a whip, you'll be afraid of me, right? But I can't command you to love me. It's an impossible command. To love is an emotion that takes time to be developed, to be nurtured, to be cultivated. Eventually I'll fall in love with you. God commands us, we say this twice a day, God's command to us is v'yahav. I command you to love me, says the Lord. Not just to love me. I command you to love me with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Why not? Once you're asking the impossible, throw it in. I'm saying, what's the big deal? Sure. On my soul, on my might, on my neutron, but why not? It's like the joke of the comrade, this Russian Jew, who's being stopped by a communist police officer. She says, for Mother Russia, would you give 100 cows for Mother Russia? He says, for Mother Russia, I give 100 cows. He says, would you give 500 goats for Mother Russia? For Mother Russia, for the motherland, for the Tsar, I give 100, for the Tsar, for Stalin, I give 500 goats. He says, would you give the chicken that's running around in your backyard? He says, no, I wouldn't give that chicken. So 100 cows you'll give, 500 goats you'll give. One little chicken you won't give? He says, yeah, one chicken I have. I know they don't have it. Now I'll give them to Mother Russia. The chicken I have. God says, you shall love the Lord. I command you to love the Lord your God. Sure, I love that. All my heart, all my soul, all my might, why not? How can you command someone to love? Any thoughts?
Fear.
By having a relationship.
No, fear is, I can command you to fear, but fear and love are two totally different emotions. They're very different. Love and fear are very different. They're opposites.
Fear something, you know, like your parents, you fear the wrath of your parents, you're going to get to love them.
I can show you many people that love their parents and don't fear them at all. I can show you many people that have fear of people, let's say a teacher or a principal or a policeman or whatever, and they have no love for them. So you can have fear and no love, and have love and no fear, and the two are not in any way synonymous. In any way. Yes, you could both love and fear your parent, but they're not. So how could the Torah command you to love God?
By loving him,
Oh, yeah, I can't command you to love him by loving me. That's
By knowing him.
Oh, so you should already know that answer. So let's look at what does the Shema say. Let's read text number 13. Roll Mordechai, text number 13.
Okay. The Maggid of Mizrach explained the verse. You shall love God, your God. Love is a feeling in the heart. So how can it be commanded? One who loves God loves, but what shall one do if this love is not embedded in his heart? God forbid. How can the Torah say the matter of a command, you shall love, as if the person has a choice in the matter? But the commandment is regarding the contemplation described in the preceding verse. Hear, O Israel, God is our God, God is one. The Hebrew word Shema, hear, means understand. This is why it says you shall love as an imperative, and the commandment is to contemplate and understand. The meaning of you shall love can also be understood as a promise. You will come to love God when you preface it with the understanding and contemplation of Hear, O Israel.
Okay, beautiful. So let me explain what we just read beautifully, text 13. The Shema says first that what? Hear, O Israel. In Hebrew, what is Shema? Doesn't mean listen, hear. There's a big difference between listening and hearing something. Yeah, we listen a lot. How often do we hear what we're listening to? Right? You can listen to the music and you can hear it. You can listen to your mother saying,
Clean your room.
clean your room, right? You didn't hear anything. I didn't hear. So when the Torah tells you shall love the Lord your God, what did it say first? Hear. Shema. I'm saying derher. Derher means absorb it, comprehend it. Think about it, meditate upon it. Once you first hear and you meditate and you understand it very, very well, then you shall love the Lord your God. So, here comes the very second critical point that you must understand before we answer the question, what is God? You know why it's important to know the answer to this question? Because Judaism is not a religion the way most people think. Most people think, what is Judaism? It's about blind obedience. I believe in God, and I believe He's more powerful than me, and I believe He can punish me, so whatever He says, I'm going to do. That is not what Judaism is about. Judaism is about a relationship, as Mindy said before. Judaism is about cultivating a relationship between me and God. And you know how you develop a relationship? By knowing someone. You can't be in love with someone you don't know. You may have a fantasy maybe, but not love. Love means I know you. I've talked to you. I've dated you. I've met you. We have similar feelings, and now I'm able to, and the more I know you, the more I feel love for you. This is the key over here. If you understand God, not just if you believe in God, if you understand God, then you can come to love God. Then you can have a relationship with God. And Judaism is not about blind obedience. It's not about just doing whatever God tells you to do. Judaism is about having a relationship with God. Okay? In text 12 before, we quoted the verse from King David who said, you shall know the God of your fathers. Know the God of your fathers. What do you think is the end of that verse, Patty? Text number 14.
Know the God of your fathers, and serve Him with whole heart and desire of soul.
Exactly. Once you know the God of your fathers, then you'll be able to serve Him with a whole heart and desire of soul. Then there will be a complete relationship. Then there will be an emotional bond.
You know, it's